as I've said, we have these strategic assets that are at the far end, and I'm sure it can take a month or two to be concluded and complete the Section 54 final approval to the ministers to conclude. If that happens within 3 months, we'll be able to get money. That is our fallback plan. However, the truth is, yes, indeed, we can sell the assets, but we're not going to be able to sustain the company if we don't get extra revenue. So the other revenue stream, and I think it's Honorable Gumede and Makata, they mentioned diversification. We are trying as far as possible to diversify the company and to focus on a non-defense sectors. For example, we have a corporation that we have with SATS with regards to the maintaining some of the helicopters that we have, like ESCOM, other SOCs like ESCOM and Trustnet and so forth. We have done that work before, but at a very low scale. But I think we have to be aggressive to can be able to capture that commercial market. So we are trying to move into the commercial market in parallel with the defense to make sure that we are not dependent on the defense sector alone. So of course, yes, there are highly skilled people that have left Denel, and with what we have, we are still quite fair that we can be able to execute, and mainly on aeronautics that does the aircrafts, the PNP, which does the bullets and so forth. The main divisions that have been affected is where our sovereign capability lies, which is the Denel Dynamics, wherein we have lost a lot of IP, and that's where we have lost a lot of critical resources, and this is one division that is mainly impacted by the exodus, by the mass exodus of personnel. Honorable Chabalala raised the question as to what will become of our country if Denel does not exist. And I think it is very clear, and I think even Honorable Gumede has alluded to that fact that Denel is a strategic asset, and without Denel, we'll see the demise of the sovereign capability, and we won't be able to defend our country should Denel fail. So it's important that this strategic assets is taken care of to ensure that we do support our sovereignty in the world. The issue of working capital, I have alluded to that. We have put some working capital into our projects. With regards to the permits, we have the industry commission that deals with this. So it is not only Denel that is affected by the permits, it is the entire industry, because they provide products to various markets. And we do have committees that sit with NCACC to ensure that some of our plight is heard. And however, we need to understand that because of geopolitics, these permits are only approved, based on the securities, the security measure, the security analysis in various countries. So there is a dependency in terms of approval of these permits. But yes, we do liaise with the industry to ensure that our voice is heard during the sitting of NCACC. There was a question with regards to the headcount to say, since that Denel is moving to restructuring, do we have capacity? Yes, we do have capacity in some aspects, as I said, of the business. In some aspects of the other business, we don't have capacity. But what we are dealing with in the main here, it's really your support functions. And when I say support functions, I'm talking about finance, I'm talking about procurement, HR, and supply chain. And that's where the most contingent of our restructuring is going to be. And hence we are saying all of these aspects of business, they're going to become part of the shared services. They're going to be streamlined within the shared services model to can be able to support different divisions. As you know, that all of these divisions were independent, running on their own, and hence we are moving into this. So the capacity with regards to the technical capacity, it won't be affected that much. I'm going to try and summarize. As I think I spoke about the IP that is an intrinsic knowledge that is sitting with people that have left. The assets we still have, and we still got data pairs to can be able to deal with the requirements. With regards to the technological advancements in terms of the 4IR, we are moving towards that. In the main, most of our design, they answer that questions with regards to the fourth industrial revolution. However, our infrastructure is old. We have an old infrastructure. And in most of the parts of our business units, we have old infrastructure that needs huge capital investment for us to can be able to be modernized. So we are not modernized to the rest of the world, and you will note that we compete with the companies in France, in the US, and those they have advanced machinery that we do not have in South Africa. So in the main, whatever that we do is still highly labor intensive compared to using technological machines to produce these assets. I think I've tried to summarize some of the answers, the questions, Chairperson. If not, those can be raised. I'll leave to the CFO to answer a few of the financial questions that have been asked. CFO.
Thank you, William. Chairperson, I'll be just brief. I think the key question was around the guarantees and what mitigations have been put in place to make sure that the call or the risk of call is minimized. The highest contributor really to the guarantees that we have is really around the whole FASTA project based on prepayments and performance guarantees that we have received with regards to the contracts. And I think both William and Board Chair have alluded to all of the actions that we have taken in order to mitigate and claw back on that contract. And included that is the discussion around how we deal with guarantees. Coupled with that, obviously, in terms of clawing back on that contract is having a relook, particularly from in South Africa based on issuing guarantees between sister companies. And we're looking at approaching National Treasury to find an alternative way that whilst it both provides some sort of support to the issuing entity, it doesn't drain the fiscus as such in terms of having to issue commercial guarantees. But in terms of also looking forward in terms of new contracts and how we deal with contracts that demand guarantees, the board had taken a very clear view that for any prepayment that are received from customers, those funds are ring-fenced, and we've utilized, and in line with that decision, that's how we've approached the market to say to potential clients that for future business, we would ring-fence your funds and therefore negate the requirement for issuing a prepayment guarantee. Of course, the client will have sight of those funds and utilizations of those funds in order to mitigate or rather reduce the reliance and requirements to issue prepayments guarantees in future in regards to new contracts. In terms of SARS, we've tabled a payment plan that deals with legacy debt with regards to VAT and pay-as-you-earn up to May next year, which they have accepted, and we've actioned that. In terms of the utilization of the DMBT funds, the board was very clear in terms of utilizing that funds. Number one, we needed to secure the strategic assets, which is Denel, and therefore any impending legal actions that may hinder that were dealt with. And included in that was obviously making sure that our employees are dealt with, because of course, our employees are a strategic asset. So in that regard, the DMBT funds have, number one, used to secure the assets of Denel, two, dealt with employees, and three, partially dealt with working capital for the future, whilst we await final decision coming through from our shareholder in terms of funding at a much broader perspective. Because as we've initially previously highlighted, a 1.8 billion that Denel have put in forward to that as a commitment to come up with the funding is not enough to deal with all of the legacy requirements to sustain the business for the medium to long term. I think I've answered broadly most of the questions that have come through.
Yeah. Thanks, Thandeka. Chairperson, before I close, there's one or two questions that I wanted to sort of answer. I see that I might have skipped them, not skipped them on purpose, Chairperson. It was with regards to the method used to identify these non-core assets. As I've alluded to, these non-core, as you see, it's mainly on the shareholding that we owe in other businesses that I really not have much effect on Denel that we'd like to expose. However, the critical one in property that has not been concluded as yet, yes, it is non-core in the form that we are not in the property business, and we thought that by exposing some of these or disposing of some of these property will be able to give us some cash injection, but not all of the properties. Like I said, it's only of those where we have a tenants on. Whether there was a prioritization matrix, yes, there was a matrix that has been used. We have employed a transactional advisor to assist us with this process. None of the executives are involved in procurement or this bidding process. The transactional advisor is dealing with this independently. So they've gone to the market. We have gone through RFIs, for example, with Hensoldt. We have done a progress. All the due diligence has been done on companies that there've been criteria that have been developed in each of these assets, and those that met criteria have been identified. And hence I said, we are on the verge of signing some of the sale agreements in this. So I thought I addressed those, Chairperson. I saw that I might have missed them. Thank you very much, Chair.
Yes, thank you, CEO and the team. Thank you, Deputy Minister. Honorable members, we have passed with almost 6 minutes to our target time. Therefore, I don't have any luxury of continuing with this session now with Denel. We are forced by time to thank everybody that has participated to this important session. Thank you, Deputy Minister and your team, the executive and the board of the Denel to provide us with this comprehensive input and the information that we really needed as a portfolio committee in order to be in a position to do our work of oversight properly. With those words, Deputy Minister, I will release your team because we have to have another session with a joint session with the mineral, and I'm sure they've already started joining in. We'll just give them 2 minutes to settle. Let me take this opportunity to release Denel executive and the board. Much appreciation for your contribution. That session, thank you.
Chair, may I just request, Chair, that I've put on the chat group some questions which I would like written answers, given that we didn't have time for follow-ups. So if those written questions can be, by the Secretary, can be passed on to Denel and they can come back to us with written answers, I would be grateful. Thank you.
Okay, no, it's fine. Thank you, Denel. Can you give us the space?
Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you. Bye.
Honorable members, the next session is going to be between ourselves, the portfolio committee. We'll have to release the select committee too, though they can leave those one to remain. But the next session is our joint session with the mineral. I will just give honorable members
recording stopped
4 minutes to at the quarter past we begin our session.
Bye-bye, Chairman. Chabalala here.
Yes,
I heard you
Chabalala.
mention that, yes, Uti Deputy Minister Hambe. So Benditi ngiyacela ukuthi mele ahlale naye kule Eskom. So sengenzela ukuthi please tell him not to go.
It's not for me. It's not for me to release the ministry.